Good afternoon, students, for today's second session of SAP. Before we start the class, there are one announcement I'm making in a QA section. Just look into it first. See, we have sent you a login credentials mail, how to register in energy platform. If you have not received any mail, might be it went to the spam and it got deleted automatically. So I'm sharing the step-by-step guide how you can log in to the energy platform where you can access the course content and many more details related to SAP. Before starting the class, you can, after the class, you can log in and check that things. Now we have Nagraj sir with us for today's session. Nagraj sir, you can continue with your class, sir.
Okay, thanks, Kunal.
Most welcome, sir.
So, uh, we had stopped at the organizational structure, and so basically, I would also want to add one more word. Probably it is a skeleton on which all your components comprising of the organizational structure they are built. So basically, the organizational structure can also be defined as a skeleton on which the organizational objects or your organizational elements are arranged to complete the structure. Clear? Now, why I redefine this particular organizational structure? Why did I do it? Because now we saw the most essential and the most mandatory component which actually starts the financial activities in the SAP. It starts with the client, and importantly, and the very next important and the most compulsory or the most mandatory component which you create for the financial activities is something called as a company code. Just before lunch, we try to understand the company code in a much better way. So it is a legal component. It independently generates the all the financial information. Perfect. Now, what else about the what else about the company code? Basically, in any of the SAP systems across the globe, you have the presence of this particular entities, that is 0001 or 100 as the standard company codes. It can be and also both may exist, or at least one of them will definitely exist in the standard SAP system or in any of the SAP system on which you will be working upon. You will find either both or at least one. Clear? And why the standards? Just hold on for a minute. Just hold on for some time. I will tell you why SAP has provided something called as standards. So what was the other standard that we studied in the morning? It was with regards to the leading ledger 0L. Actually, our discussion as regards the standard started with the 0L. which is a standard leading ledger defined in the SAP system. Okay. Now, when we broke for lunch, when we took a break, I think I need to log in again. So you see a new term called as chart of accounts. Now, why I use the term the organizational element is this is a very, very critical element which actually starts the financial activities after the financial consultant. Please mark my words, the financial consultant, the finance consultant is the owner of this particular entity, the company code. And now we are talking about the chart of accounts. Now, what exactly is this chart of accounts? And I think probably the whole of these 2 hours, that is up to 4 o'clock, we are going to talk about only the chart of accounts. Clear? So be prepared for such an exhaustive coverage of this particular topic, because you being from the finance background, you need to understand the importance of this particular entity. One of the most integral part of the finance organizational structure, one of the most important and the mandatory organizational element created by the finance consultant after the creation of the company code. Now, what is this chart of accounts? Let me make a note of it in the Excel sheet. So the next important thing what we need to study is chart of accounts, chart or charts of accounts. Organizational element created by the finance professional as soon as the finance person creates the company. Also, this is one of the first and the foremost master data which the finance person creates. Now, what is this? A chart of accounts is necessarily nothing but simply said, your chart or charts of accounts is nothing but a master list of all the general ledger accounts which is being used by the business. What do I mean? Suppose I am bringing in SAP for Hindustan Unilever Limited. Hindustan Unilever Limited has to do some financial transactions. How do you achieve a financial transactions? Through what transaction? How does a transaction start and end? Through a general ledger account. Suppose I want to debit. Okay, so I don't have to tell you what is a debit or a credit, right? Suppose there is a, I need to pay 500 rupees for some stationery expense or for some purchase of stationery. What do? I raise a journal voucher and enter the transaction against that particular journal. Correct? Expense account debit to cash or cash. Normally 100 rupees, 500 rupees, you expend cash. So this is going to be your entry. Let me put down that entry. To enter this particular transaction, or you can also stationary account, stationary account. Okay, stationary expense account, debit to cash. You must be having these two general ledger accounts. Stationary account, your cash account. You need to have these two general ledger accounts. Where is this two general ledger accounts existing? It is existing in a master list called as your chart of accounts. So your chart of accounts constitutes or contains all the general ledger accounts which is being used by the business. Your salary account, rent account, wages account, overtime account, uh, your maintenance account, your salaries account, whatever. So do you see how exhaustive this chart of accounts can be? So it contains all the general ledger accounts which is being used by the business. Clear? Now, so this is the first and the foremost master data created by finance person. Now let us read some more from the. You must specify one chart of accounts for the general ledger. You must, this chart of accounts is supposed to get assigned to a company code. That is what the second line says. The chart of accounts is to be assigned to a company code. What do I mean? You have a company code, legal entity. You have created a chart of accounts. How does the SAP system know that your company code should be using this set of general ledger accounts? You have to set up the relation. This setting up of relation is called as, I don't know if I can tell you now. That's okay. I will. This is called as just let me try to get that particular term. Variant principle. Variant is nothing but an entity. That is all. So here, what is the variant principle followed in account, followed in SAP? Not only in the finance module, it is uniform. This variant principle applies to all the modules. So what do we exactly do here? We define a element. We populate this element with information. Like, for example, if I say chart of accounts, I define the chart of accounts first. I create the chart of accounts. Then with what is it created? It is created with the general ledger accounts, which is called as population, and providing the general ledger accounts into that master structure definition. Then assignment or assign. What is this assign? I have defined the company code and the chart of accounts. I have also brought in the set of general ledger accounts in my chart of accounts. Now, how do I tell SAP as to this company code is following this set of general ledger accounts? I'll have to tell it, right? Because if I'm working on 3 different projects, say for example, Hindustan Unilever, Reliance, Tata's. So do I have do I have only the same general ledger accounts for all the businesses? Not at all. Hindustan Unilever may be using or definitely will be using set of other general ledger accounts. Reliance will be using its own set of general ledger accounts. Tata's will be using their own set of general ledger accounts. Clear? So you'll be having 3 different master structures for these businesses. So I would have to explicitly tell SAP that this particular set of general ledger accounts contained within this master chart of accounts is going to be used by HUL, Hindustan Unilever Limited. The master structure number 2 will be used by Reliance. The master structure number 3, the master chart of accounts number 3 will be used by Tata's. This is you are establishing a relationship between the company code and the chart of accounts through a process called as assignment. This is the standard principle followed in SAP. You first define the organizational element or whatever will be the variant. Second is you provide this with information. Third is you assign it to the company code. Clear so far? Let me get back. This is the exact meaning of is assigned to the company code in the configuration. Configuration is nothing but the process of building up the SAP system for a specific business or rather implementing partner. So my company is IBM. I'm assuming that I'm working for IBM. So I am working on 3 different projects. Okay, so whatever I do to suit the businesses of my customers or maybe say the implementing partners, the process is called as the configuration and is referred to as the operating chart of accounts. So the master chart of accounts which gets assigned to the company code necessary for its day-to-day operations is called as operational chart of accounts. Just give me a minute. Operational COA is your COA is chart of accounts. Mandatory or compulsory. Because when you try to carry out a financial transaction, SAP should be in a position to pick up the general ledger accounts, right? If the general ledger accounts, they are not there in the SAP system, how do you expect it to accept the transactions? How do you think it is SAP system is going to accept this transaction? If the stationary expense account is not available or the cash account is not available, is it possible for the SAP system to understand this transaction? No. That is the reason as to why this becomes mandatory. The setting up of the relation between the chart of accounts and your company code is mandatory. Now, Is there something which is not mandatory also? See, the use of operating COA is mandatory. Clear? Besides the operational COA, there are the group COA and the country COA. So you have which may not be mandatory. Why is group chart of accounts mandatory? Only when you have the mother company and the company code concept. Only when you have the consolidation. Only when you have the scenario. You have the mother company, you have the group company, and you have the reporting company. Only in this scenario, you will have the group chart of accounts as mandatory. If there is no such concept, I said creation of a company is not mandatory, not compulsory. Creation of head office is not at all compulsory, but creation of a company code is compulsory. Same thing holds good for your chart of accounts also. Only when you have the mother and the child relationship, you have the group chart of accounts. Else, you do not have the concept of group chart of accounts. What is country chart of accounts? At least I have not used a country chart of account. I don't remember in my 18 plus years in SAP. I do not remember having used a country chart of accounts at all. But the reason as to why SAP has also provided you with this concept is whenever there is a unique requirement for a specific country. We faced this in one of the projects where we were taking care of Japan. Japan and China, I guess. Okay, they had some unique reporting requirement. So in that case, probably you may have to use the country chart of accounts. But if there is no such requirements, the country's chart of accounts is not mandatory. So now you have three charts of accounts: operational, group, and country. But only for your working purposes, the assignment of the or the creation of the operational chart of accounts is very, very essential for you to carry out the financial transactions for the business. Clear? So we also know, we also have a fair idea as to what is a variant principle. You may come across this question. Somebody may ask you as to, yeah, I heard something called as variant principle. Can you please tell me, since you have finished the SAP course, can you tell me what is a variant principle? So you should be in a position to tell as to what is a variant principle being followed in SAP. This not only applies to your chart of accounts, it applies to each and every organizational object or your organizational entity. Was this understood? So what is a chart of account? It is simply a huge list of all the general ledger accounts used by the business. I remember in one of my projects where we were taking care of a telecom company in the Netherlands. We had around 7,000 plus general ledger accounts used by that particular organization. And the business was spread across 23 to 24 countries. Okay. And we were using an operational chart of accounts, which was as huge as 7,000 plus general ledger accounts. And who is the owner of this particular chart of accounts? It is the finance consultant. Absolutely no requirement, or this activity 99 out of the 100 times will not be given to the end user. This is not the job of an end user. Okay. Was this clear? Let us go through a few more. So I hope, see, but their use is optional. This is mandatory, the operational COA, but the usage of your group and country chart of accounts is based on the requirement. It is not compulsory. Okay. See, one page or one slide, so many things to explain. It's only one slide, that's it. Nothing more. But do you know what is the impact of this? Did you understand what exactly it is? And please give me some time to tell you what is posting documents. It is nothing but your transactions. Putting in your financial transactions into the SAP system is called as posting documents. Posting is an activity of saving the transaction in the SAP system. Your document or your documents is the transaction. This is a document. Your stationery account debit to cash account is one document. Clear? I will explain this in detail. Okay. And saving this particular entry is the process is referred to as posting. I have still not come down to that concept. Just hold on. Okay. See, why is a country chart of accounts used? In order to fulfill the local accounting standards. He has also exemplified the European belt as France. It is assigned at the company code level. So everything needs to be assigned to a company code. This is the meaning of it. It has a deeper meaning. Just hold on. I'm waiting for the appropriate moment so that all these things will be in detail. Now, if I give you all the information, it may be a little confused. Try to digest all this theoretically. If I show this to you on the SAP system practically, you will not be in a position to understand the concepts at all. Understand SAP conceptually if you want to grow. Lots and lots of, and this particular SAP field is very, very cold in the sense the company for which you are implementing or you're working for, the other customer will be nasty, especially France. Please be very, very careful. They are not obliging. They will not be friendly to you. Okay? Because their expectation will be something. And if you take things lightly, you had it. Okay? Usually there is a one-to-one relation between the operating COA and that of the company code, and that also just hold on there. Don't have to. Usually there is a one-to-one relationship between your chart of accounts and your operating COA and your company. Clear? Because it is mandatory that one company code must be assigned to only one operational chart of accounts. One company code cannot have more than one operational COA. Let me make that point. One company code cannot have more than one operational COA. Okay. But I will tell you the vice versa. One can be used by n company codes. Understood this point? Or is it contradicting? Let me explain the second line. One operational chart of accounts, it can be made use by more than one company code. Why is this? Now, let me take up this scenario. I am implementing or I am trying to bring in the SAP system into Reliance Group. I have Geo, I have Smart, Trends, Insurance, Petro, Reliance Fresh. So I can have one operating COA, one operational chart of accounts constituting the general ledger accounts to be used by all the businesses of Reliance. Did you get my point? I can be having one operational COA talking to Geo, talking to Smart, talking to Trends, talking to Insurance, talking to Petro, talking to Fresh, talking to some other businesses of Reliance. I can have only one operational chart of accounts having all the general ledger accounts suited to all the businesses of Reliance. That's why I said we had a huge master list of 7,000 plus general ledger accounts for one telecom industry or for one telecom company in Netherlands. You're able to visualize, or is it confusing? Just take 2 to 3 minutes of your time. Think about from the business entity. Think about from the business angle, how these statements are true and what is the meaning of these statements. I'll leave you for 2 to 3 minutes. Think over all the things, whatever has happened for the last half an hour as regards the chart or the charts of accounts. Take 2 more minutes. Kunal, do we have any questions? Kunal, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Any questions for me, Kunal?
Uh, I think we should
I
carry
just
on. There are
opened.
two questions right now.
I think I
We will
saw a
take it
few.
up
Just hold on,
afterwards.
Kunal. You said something, Kunal. We'll take it up.
Sir, we will take it up later on. There is only two questions. Right
Okay,
now, I think we
right.
should
Okay, I
continue
saw
with
them.
it.
Sure. All right. So we'll go back to the. Please do not try to understand the account of the country chart of accounts is automatically assigned to assigned on a document level. Do not try to understand all the statements. That's why I said, as of now, you're still in a process of learning. You may or may not be in a position to relate to these lines. No problem. Don't bother about them. So as I said, the master data for the general ledger accounts is called as the chart of accounts. All right. Even before this slide, we saw something called as at the company code level. Some statement I saw, and I said, I'm going to talk to you about this a little later. Now, what does this line say? The definition of a general ledger account in FI is broken down into two different places or two different parts. One, you are defining the, it says click on each of the financial accounting to learn. This section of the general ledger account contains master data information that is identical for all the company codes. So I had made a statement where your Reliance Jio, Reliance Smart, Reliance Fresh, Reliance Petro, all these had one operational chart of accounts. Yeah, that's what it says. Identical for all company codes. This data is managed at the client level. So obviously it is quite natural, right? If I have designed a chart of accounts, an operational chart of accounts for Hindustan Unilever Limited, I'll be working on one client. It is not the customer. Please make sure that you are understanding the meaning of the client in the SAP terms. Right? So I said, I was just imagining that I was working for Reliance. I was working on a Hindustan Unilever project. I'm also working on the Tata's project. So I'll be having three different SAP systems. So I'll be working on three different clients. So can I assume that the Hindustan Unilever client on which I'm working on will be having the same master data as that of the Reliance SAP client, or maybe say even Tata SAP client? That's why it says this data is client specific. It is specific to one client only. Yeah. Now, what is the chart of accounts settings and what is this company code specific settings? I'll explain this. Okay, practically, I'll explain this. Now, I said I was working on a telecom project which was spread across 23 to 24 countries. So we had recognized each country as one company code. So the business was running in England, it was running in Australia, it was running in China, Japan. So all these places were considered to be different company codes. But the business was the same. Yeah, every country had the telecom business. The same company was established in all the 23 to 24 countries. The nature of the business was the same in all the countries. Now, suppose I'm imagining a very practical scenario. Let me assume that the telecom company had established its business in India also. So I said India was one company. Let me assume that in Asia, it was also working in Japan. It had also established its business in China. So we had three different company codes. Okay. Now, I may assume a scenario where in Japan and China, the same Netherlands business, telecom business, was operating on a rented space. They were paying rent for their business establishment. Correct? In China and Japan. In India, they had their own land so that they can carry out their business. So once when my business starts operating on a rented space, I have to pay rent, right? So both the China and the Japan company codes, they have to pay rent. India need not have to pay rent. Correct? Now, just because India is not using the rent, do you think the rent account should not be available in the master record? The rent account should be very much present in the master chart of accounts, right? In the operational chart of accounts, whether one company code uses the general ledger account or not, it must definitely exist in the master. So any general ledger account, if it has to be created by the consultant, it has to be first created at the chart of accounts level, because chart of accounts is the master. Now, it all depends on whether the India company code uses that rent account because it is operating on the own land. Probably even Australia may be operating on the own land. So that's why India and Australia may necessarily not use the rent account. But China, Japan, probably say New Zealand, they were operating from the rented space. They need to pay the rent. But they are three different company codes using the same rent account because the rent account belongs to the same business. Now, did you understand? Now the rent account for New Zealand, Japan, and China must also exist at the company code level also. For the Indian and the Australian company code, it need not exist at the company code level because both the company codes are not using the rent account. But the other company codes which need to pay the rent, they need to have this rent account, rent general ledger account at both the levels. One at the master level, at the chart of accounts level, and as well as at the company code level. Clear? Was this understood? Not understood. I'll pause for 2 minutes because I know conceptually we are trying to understand SAP, and in the same frequency, we are also trying to understand what SAP is offering. See, these are all typical business scenarios, nothing different from what is happening or what is not happening in the normal businesses. Clear? Do you agree with me? So how SAP is handling all this? This is what requires theoretical explanation as far as the concepts are concerned. So if without this explanation, if somebody shows you all these things on the live SAP system without explaining all this, how much of this would you have understood? So showing something practically is fantastic, is okay. But learning as to why and how the system is operating, what is the product offering you is more important than the working of the product itself. You should know the features. You should know what SAP is doing. Clear? Just take a minute more to digest all the things, whatever I have said. Just a minute more. We'll go back to the course content. So he has explained what part of the general ledger account, what information. Suppose if you take a rent account or maybe say even your stationery expense account, what portion of that particular information is contained at the chart of accounts level and what portion of information is contained at the company code level. Okay, probably you may not be able to relate this until unless I show something on the system. Don't worry, but you should be very aware that to be able to use an account in the general ledger of a company code, the company code specific settings along with the chart of accounts settings is necessary. So for the company code to transact using a specific general ledger account, the general ledger account must be available at both your chart of accounts level and your company code level also. Clear? This is a wonderful example. Your account number will 99 out of the 100 times will be numbers. 65001000 is the English explanation for that is a purchased services general ledger account. Your purchased services general ledger account is identified by this particular number, general ledger account. This is the general ledger account name. Clear? This is typically how we define a general ledger account. Why? Why such a number? Why not some number 1000, something like that? The naming or the coding of the general ledger account also uses a specific logic. Clear? It definitely uses a logic. For example, if you want me to explain this, if you have is the plant and machinery account. I left some space. Let's say land and building. This is the general ledger accounts. 1000 is the general ledger account for plant and machinery account. 2000 is the general ledger account for your land and building. Capitalization. I'm talking about the capitalization. Acquisition. 3000 is the clear. Now, under this, I may be having depreciation for plant and machinery. Of course, you don't have land and building depreciation is not there, but I'm just assuming. Are you getting this? Now let me also accumulated depreciation. Accumulated depreciation. Did you see the codes? 101000 is the plant and machinery acquisition or the capitalization general ledger account. 1010 is your accumulated depreciation for plant and machinery. I will tell you what is the logic. So every asset transaction pertaining to plant and machinery is starting with 10. Every transaction, asset related transaction in regards to land and building has a 20, starts with 20. Vehicles 30. You may have furniture and fixtures 40. So do you see the logic? It is simply not a number. It follows a specific logic, and we as finance consultants, we are responsible to follow this particular logic also. There has to be some logic having these general ledger accounts. It is just not 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers. No, each should have a definite meaning. Did you see this? This is your balance sheet accumulated depreciation. This is your current year depreciation. 1020 is the general ledger account for your current year depreciation, for a profit and loss account. So like this, you should be in a position to design your chart of accounts logically. There has to be some logic. It cannot be some random numbers. Yeah. So this is what it says. 65001000. Probably this is how they would have started their general ledger account numbers. So they would have followed their own numbering logic. Clear? There are something called as open items, line items. Okay, just hold on. We have not still reached. I can tell you theoretically, but you may not be in a position to appreciate. Clear? Now, do you see the importance of theory? So many things to understand theoretically. So, if at all, so we spoke about the integration between modules. Now, this is typically an example. He's talking about how the finance module is talking to the CO module. So this starts from the way you design your general ledger accounts. I will stop here. OK. As far as the integration between your FI and your CO module is concerned. But all I'm stressing upon is there is a way you establish the link between the FI and the CO modules through the general ledger account itself. Yeah, how you define the general ledger account so that the information also flows to the controlling module. All right. So there are certain settings which, or you need to have unique properties. You need to change the properties of a normal general ledger account to that of a general ledger accounts, which is going to impact the controlling module. Clear? So I'm not going to explain this in detail, okay? Because it is, I feel it's a little premature for you to understand this. GL account master data defines how business transactions are posted. So the first and the foremost bifurcation. So when I took you to the Excel sheet, these two are balance sheet accounts. This is your P&L account. Kunal, there seems to be some noise. Definitely. Rafia has asked a question. Can you show us SAP software and practical process in any session? Let's wait for it. Okay. I must be definitely showing you this, but please hold. Okay. Are you finding the sessions interesting? Or I know as and when we proceed, things may sound a little complex, right? But are you finding it interesting or forget about the theory and the practicals? We are dealing with the theory as of now. Okay. Practical, apart from that, how do you feel the sessions are happening? Somebody has said, yes, sir. For what? Is it going good or not going good, interesting, difficult, little bit boring? Okay. Interesting. Okay. All right. Oh, wonderful. You've already worked on SAP ML. Okay. So except for maybe say one or two. Yeah. Let us see from when we can touch upon the practical side. I do understand a lot of theory will make sessions a little boring. Slow and steady, good going. Okay, good. Assignment probably may not be possible because uh, you may not be in a position to take up the projects as of now. Yeah, I do understand. Rafia, I'm with you saying that a little boring because of the theory. Yeah, but you will see how interesting this theory is once when you really lay your hands on the SAP system. Yeah. Yeah. See, the reason I can really finish off the topics in say 1 or 2 hours, it's not a big task for me. But how much of you see me finishing and going is not a big thing. But what is it that you have understood? This question, what Mr. Anish has asked, should be answered by the other side. Okay, so I will be going at this pace. Okay, though it is slow and though a lot of theory, though boring, you will really appreciate the boredom once when I take you to the SAP systems. You will see things will be happening just at the it'll be happening so very fast. Okay. The assignments, let us see. Let's work on that. All right. So uh, on the whole, I can just conclude that things are going good. Slow pace because we are just in the third day. You can't expect a lot of things happening in 2 or 3 days. All right. And you people, you have not said the learning has increased. Do you agree with me? Has the learning increased? Some new concepts day in and day out, correct? So you will see you'll be bombarded with lots and lots of concepts. When we talk about the integration, you will see how you need to understand not only the finance, but also the other modules. So till now we were thinking only about finance and controlling, correct? But now you will see to really have a good hold on the SAP system, you must also be knowing you must also be knowing PP, SD, HR, PS. Okay. Okay. So now we stopped at the way we design the general ledger accounts in our chart of accounts. So as you can see, I hope you are in a position to appreciate the logic followed behind each and every general ledger account. These are just not some simple numbers. They have a specific logic. Yeah. Now, what do we have in the course content? Balance sheet account. He has asked us to click. You may really not be able to understand each and every word, whatever has been, whatever you're seeing. Do not worry. All right. Just to give one more information, I said the flow of data from the finance to the controlling module depends on how you design each and every general ledger account. So not all the transactions they get into the management accounting side until and unless you explicitly tell the SAP system that it needs to affect the controlling module also. How do you do it? You do it through the way you design the general ledger. That is where your primary costs and your secondary costs, they come into picture. Primary cost element, secondary cost element. That is where they come into picture. This I will talk to you in detail when I deal with the CO module, management accounting module. All right. A new concept.
Sir,
Yeah, Kunal.
I have already posted that we will notify them shortly for the practical they are asking for.
Sure, sure. Okay. Thanks, Kunal. Now, account groups. What is the meaning? This is another organizational element. Account group or account groups. Now, when you talk about the general ledger accounts, there could be n number of GL accounts differing in their nature. What do I mean by this? One could be a balance sheet account. Another one could be a profit and loss account, GL account. Okay. So if you have a huge list of general ledger accounts, you can also categorize them as there could be account numbers exclusively for asset. You can have general ledger accounts for bank. You can have a set of general ledger accounts for cash. Correct? You can have exclusive general ledger accounts only for vendors. You can have exclusive general ledger accounts only for customers. So how does SAP give you uh, all these things to bifurcate or differentiate the general ledger accounts? So I said in one of the projects you had 7,000 plus general ledger accounts. How do you break open what is the nature of the general ledger accounts each block is having? So basically you break open the operational chart of accounts into definite blocks. Let us say you have 1,000 general ledger accounts. General ledger accounts in operational COA. Okay. Now, how do I bifurcate? I can say between GL account number 1 to 100, asset related. Like this, I can break open. General accounts. I can have material accounts. Materials I have already given. All right. So this huge list of 1,000 general ledger accounts, I can classify them into GL accounts between 1 to 100. They are related to asset accounting. Another block is related to customers. Another block is related to the vendors. Another block is related to the materials. So like this, I can have my own classification, or I can have a simple two definitions. That's it. Balance sheet. I can have also this. Out of the 5,000 general ledger accounts, account number 1 to 500 is profit and loss. Account number 501 to 1,000 is your balance sheet accounts. I can also have the simple bifurcation. So however my implementing partner wants, that is the way I design these blocks. Okay. How necessarily SAP understand this is through the way of your account groups. And within the account groups, you have account types. ADKMS. A Account type stands for your assets. Where you see all this, please hold on. As of now, you should know that there is some concept called as account groups. And within the account groups, you have something called as the account types. ADKMS. You also have V, which is basically for your contract accounts. And your plus is your entire master list. All GL accounts is indicated by plus. Where you see all this, just hold on. Okay? But these concepts you should know. Account groups and these are your account groups, your P&L balance sheet, or maybe you can divide also like this. Okay. And you have ADKMSV plus ADKMS as all the account types. They are called as types, account types. Now do you see how the complexity or the understanding is increasing? Okay. See, this is what I said, cash accounts, expense accounts, revenue accounts. You can bifurcate the general ledger accounts based on whatever logic you have followed. Or more importantly, based on how your implementing partner wants, how he wants the general ledger accounts or how he wants to see the accounts, right? Account groups are assigned number ranges. Just hold on, right? This is your number range. Simply say your 1 to 100, 101 to 200, 201 to 300. They are referred to as your number ranges. Account number 1 to account number 100 is assets. Account number 101 to account number 200 is your customers. Like this is your number range or your number ranges. This also is the activity of a consultant. Here, the end user does not have any role. All right, clear? You may necessarily not be in a position to. Okay. So there is a concept called as the fields that are required for data entry, fields that are optional. Okay, don't worry, I'll come back to that. Reconciliation accounts. What normally would you associate your reconciliation accounts with? Your BRS, right? Bank reconciliation. Correct? You do the plus or minus based on whether the checks are issued or whether the checks are received, whatever. You reconcile the cash book with the passbook. This is your BRS. This is what you have learned in your CMA or in your BCom. In SAP, the word reconciliation has a different meaning. It means the subsidiary ledgers which are connected to the general ledger through the reconciliation accounts. Basically, in SAP, you can have reconciliation accounts for your AP, for your vendors, customers, AR, and your assets. So do you think a reconciliation has anything to do with your BRS or something? The meaning is totally different. The word reconciliation here means, I think I will stop today's session by explaining this because the content may be a little too far. I'll be waiting after I finish this. I will definitely have one more boring recap of whatever we did today and also take up your questions. Okay. Now that we saw reconciliation account, normally this concept in SAP is associated with your AP, AR, and assets, asset accounting. Now, how does the meaning change? Now, in SAP, you are generating your balance sheet, I say, correct? How do you get the figure for your how do you get the sundry creditors or your sundry debtors? Now, if you imagine a big business like that of Hindustan Unilever or say your Tatas, your Reliance, or maybe any other concern, if you're dealing with hundreds and hundreds of customers and vendors, shouldn't the business know that what I need to pay, what are my liabilities and what are my assets in the form of creditors and debtors? So how is this achieved in your SAP? It is through the concept of reconciliation account. Don't worry, I need to come back to this concept once again when we talk about the business partners regarding customers and vendors master data. We need to definitely talk about this. Yeah. So your creditors is a combination or is the aggregation of hundreds and hundreds of vendors. Hundreds of vendors may be having an outstanding balance. I need to make a payment to hundreds of vendors. That is going to be my liability, correct? So how is it reflected in my financial position, in my balance sheet? Through the sundry creditors or through your sundry debtors. So what is sundry creditors and your sundry debtors? It is the balances of your all your vendors and all your customers. How this happens, how this connection is set is pretty interesting, and we will see about this when we touch upon the relevant topics. Clear? Conceptually, I think we have covered lots and lots of topics for today. Do you all agree with me? Don't worry about how the reconciliation happens or how you connect your individual customer and your vendor masters to your general ledger. So do you want to have a recap of any topic which you have probably not understood, or maybe the understanding is not that very clear? Because I feel that I will not share anything new as of today's session is concerned. And tomorrow also, let us have a detailed recap of whatever we have seen today, because it is really worth it. Guys, do not take this as a very boring session, because the more the number of times I repeat, I bring in a new point. I keep bringing in different points, which I would not have shared previously. Clear? So I'll just be adding a point after point because understanding would be more easier. Understanding would be simpler. Okay. Even if it's a repetitive session, it's really, really worth it. Even we were feeling the same when we were in your shoes, but now we realize how important it is. Yeah. Each repetition has a different angle, has a different meaning. Students, please tell me what you have not understood. Not to worry if you have not understood, not at all a problem. I don't expect you to understand the whole thing in one shot. And you will see, when I take you to the live system, you will see that whatever theory I'm talking about is totally different when you look at it. Yeah. And you will be thankful that I repeated the topic so many times. Guys, the floor is yours now. You can ask me any number of questions. People who have received the course content, have they started reading it?
So there is one question, variant principle and concept.
Okay, yeah, Kunal. Any other question, Kunal?
Difference between leading and non-leading ledger in the simple term.
Okay. Now, what did I mean by variant principle? It is a standard methodology followed in SAP. Okay. For example, the company code you need to define. You need to generate a company code. You need to create a company code in your SAP system. You need to define a chart of accounts. You need to create a chart of accounts. So whatever you create, You can also alternatively call it as create. So whatever entity you create, whether it is a company code, whether it is a chart of accounts, whether it is an account group. Yeah. So whatever you create, the first step is the major thing is you need to create it. You need to create whatever you want to use. So you have created a company code. If you do not create a chart of accounts, how would you start entering transactions in that company code? So you also need to create a chart of accounts. This is the process of creation. Next thing, you have created a company code. You have also created a chart of accounts. Is that enough for SAP to understand what is using what? How do I know? How does the poor SAP system know that this company code is using, or rather, even before this step, what should the chart of accounts contain? Anything what you create must be having some data, within itself. For example, your chart of accounts, it should be having the general ledger accounts. So this is what you populate that particular entity with the relevant data. This is your population. You're populating. You are feeding that particular entity with the relevant information. Now, how does the system know? How does the SAP system know what is using what? Once when you have created a company code, how does the SAP system know what is a set of general ledger accounts that this particular company code should use? So you need to definitely set up a relationship between the company code and the chart of accounts, which is your assignment. Setting up or relating two different entities is called as your assignment. SAP follows this particular steps in each and every process, in each and every step. You agree with me? So I hope the concept of the variant principle was clear. What was the other question, Puna? Sorry, I just slipped.
So difference between leading and non-leading ledger in simple terms.
Okay. What is this leading and non-leading ledgers? Where is that? Where is that?
Sir, there is one more interesting question is there. Student Anish is saying, sir, can you share your SAP journey as your career path?
Yeah, sure. I'll do that. Now, before that, let me answer this leading and non-leading ledgers. Now, why do we use the concept of ledgers in the first place? That you must know. Now, I'm opening the business in India as of today. Clear? Okay. Now, tomorrow, I may expand my business to various countries. So how do I fulfill the accounting requirement or the legal requirement of that particular country? So it is asking me to submit my financials or submit my business results in that particular country in the format it wants. See, if I tell them that I'm reporting only as of my India thing, they will say you must you should meet our requirements. So each of the accounting requirements may vary from, or definitely it varies from one country to another country. So how do you achieve this in SAP? My company is the same, business is the same. So the concept of your leading ledger is the original business country, the base. So India is my base country. So I have the leading ledger. There are some more points which I will add when I actually go to that particular topic. All right. So I can also make a statement that all your transactions, whether you like it or you do not like it, they are affecting the leading ledger because it is your mother country where you have started the business. All other countries apart from the base country, they are referred to as the non-leading ledgers. Now I hope I have been clear. So any other country where I am following the legal requirement of my business reporting, it is called as your non-leading ledgers. Your base country reporting and satisfying the legal requirement of reporting in your base country is taken care of by the leading ledger. And for all other countries' legal reporting purposes, I have my non-leading ledgers. I hope I was clear in letting you know as to what is leading and non-leading ledgers. Don't worry, you can ask me this question even sometime later. All right. Yes, I do totally agree with. We recap briefly since today we covered lots and lots of topics. Yes. So what I'll do is I will allow you to forget the topics, whatever you have, so that tomorrow we will recap in detail whatever we did. Okay. Lots to learn and relearn. Okay. Understand whatever has happened today. Tomorrow we will sit afresh and start revisiting whatever we did. Uh, can you share your SAP journey? Okay. Uh, See, basically, I was in my basic area was science. Then later I took up computers. I was exposed to a lot of programming, right? So I also got qualified as a CMA, right? So finance and computers, they became a very good combination. So till 2005, my domain was finance and accounts, right? So after that, 2005 onwards, I started seeing SAP and I cleared the certification, SAP certification in finance and controlling. Of course, my company sponsored my controlling certification after I put in the relevant experience in SAP. I was sponsored. So I started as a, let us say, a junior consultant or maybe say a business analyst. See, that's why I said, see, now you'll be able to relate. You are always supposed to be a business analyst. Why? Because you have chosen the path of a consultant. I'm talking about myself. I chose SAP as my career and I wanted to grow as a consultant. So what is my primary thing? I should know SAP, right? And I should also know the business. Suppose I'm talking to my customer, I'm talking to my implementing partner, right? So I need to understand what exactly he is trying to do, what he wants to achieve. So I use the terms as is and to be. This typically applies to the individual also. You should be an expert to understand the business as my implementing partner is working and suggest the best SAP solutions or get him the best SAP, get him the best advantage after he has invested in SAP. Because investment in SAP is not small, it is pretty huge. So he wants the return on investment, ROI, in the shortest possible time. So he is looking at a consultant. Once you are called as a junior consultant or a senior consultant, it is immaterial. The implementing partner, whenever you sit in the other person's office and start working, you will know the pressure. You will understand how it will be to work in somebody else's office. All right, because he is actually your employer. See, I said I work for IBM. See, I was not in the IBM office at all. I was in Pune, I was in Ahmedabad. So there I was working at another destination, at another place. There the challenges are something um, you cannot explain. You should face those challenges. Then and only then you will feel the pressure. All right. The place was different. People were different. The business was different. So there the expectations are also high because once when you walk in as a consultant, expectations they grow. They want you to be an expert in everything. All right. So this is exactly how it happened. Then I became a senior consultant. I also did a project management for one of the projects in with one of my employer. And during this phase, I worked on a lot of areas also. So I worked on, you must be remembering, I use the term IS in industry specific. I had the opportunity and I had the good fortune to work on the IS media projects, IS real estate. So there the challenges were totally different. And there in the IS, especially the I, both were equally challenging because in the IS media, we were dealing with a US client, and IS real estate, we were dealing with a Dubai client. They both were pretty interesting and pretty challenging because we had to pick up new areas, and it was not a traditional FI, and so you had to understand so many concepts. So lots of, see, you should be ready to learn and unlearn also in SAP, because not two projects will be the same. No two projects will be the same. You cannot apply the same solutions to two different projects. No, it may not be possible, or rather it will not be possible. See, I said I was working on a Netherlands telecom client. So that project was very huge, 24 countries. So we were working 24/7 in that project. In the sense we had APAC, Asia Pacific. As soon as the Asia Pacific team left, we used to walk in the Europe team. I was a part of the Europe team, and we used to finish the shift at 11:30 in the night. The US team used to come. So we were having the support 24/7. We were working round the clock. Okay. So this was one of the things, and you need to, as I said, these two are two very important concepts: learning and unlearning. You should forget whatever you have learned. You should learn new things. You should forget whatever has happened in the previous project. Come back and think afresh. So there we normally, whenever you get into a project, people expect you to stay in the project for close to 2 years, or at least say 18 months, 1.5 years. And during those 1.5 years, lot of things you will learn. You'll have to deal with a lot of different teams, a lot of different project managers. Your bosses will be different. Your clients will be different. Their mentalities will be different. So lots and lots of things to learn. And as I said, the learning will never stop. The learning will never stop. Even if you're even if you are working on one single project, each each day will be a new challenge, because you will never know what new thing or not, or when a new issue will come up. It may not happen today, but tomorrow you may face an entirely different scenario. This also happened to us in one of the projects where we had to learn a totally new module. So we were basically the FICO consultants. We were two of us. We had to learn the PS module, project systems. We had to learn project systems. Along with our FICO issues, we had to take up the project systems issues also. For that, we had to learn the PS module. So, as I said, you can never be stagnant. You can never be stagnant because the requirement is totally different. And for you to grow in your career, you should always be open. In the sense, if you get a new challenge, jump into it. Jump into it. You'll be under a lot of pressure, lot of tension. That is always there, right? But for you to grow, you need to always be open to learning. Never say no. You are given a new task, take it. Nobody expects you to be an expert in whatever you take. No. You always need to take the help of your seniors and work out a solution for the implementing part. So this is how any other, every day, as I said, is a new challenge. You may have to support a totally different module to resolve to resolve their issues. So as I said, it's a mixed match. You can never work on an SAP project alone. It has to be a teamwork. It has to be a team. As I said, one project is not only one module. It involves so many modules, so many teams, so many people. And moreover, if you are dealing with the overseas clients, it is even more challenging. Netherlands is not an easy place. France is not an easy place, right? Clients, see, they are very open about who you are. They will tell you on your face. So, any other interesting things what I can share? And even the probably you'll be talking to so many clients overseas to discuss issues, how you talk to them. All right. So it all depends on, but no two projects will have the same challenges. Absolutely no. These two are two different things. All right. So it's very interesting, very, very interesting, provided you have the mindset to learn and pick up. You cannot say that, okay, you're feeling bad because the client said so. It all happens. For one or two projects, you may feel bad. Oh, somebody said something very bad about me or something. It's still okay. Not a problem. Take it up and try to improve. So these things are invariably they happen in projects. Not to worry, but keep on improving. That is the whole secret of the success. And wonderful feat. Now you also have seen your generation. I think you're facing lots and lots of challenges because the work environment has totally changed. You have concepts like artificial intelligence, and this also is coming into SAP. Yep. So lots and lots more interesting things are in store in whatever field you take. So do I have any other questions? This is a brief about my experience in SAP, right? So Yeah, the interview questions. See, basically, I as an interviewer, if I take up one of your resumes and interview, I should be very well be aware that you're all freshers. You do not have the job experience, and you tell me that you have undergone an SAP course like this. So I would be basically asking you, okay, what is that? What is this? What is chart of accounts? How many charts of accounts are there? So I would be checking. So basically, when you come down to the SAP field, your communication is also very, very important. Your communication should be very good, should be excellent. This is, and the confidence in which you take up those questions. Suppose I ask you, what is a chart of accounts? How many types of charts of accounts are there? What is mandatory? For SAP, what is mandate? Okay, so as an interviewer, as an experienced interviewer, I should be knowing what I should ask you, right? So best wishes. So we'll continue tomorrow. We'll meet at 11 a.m. All right. I hope things will get more and more interesting. All right. So shall we wind up today's session, Kunal? Thank you all so much. Kunal, you're there? Hi, Kunal, you're there?
Yes, sir.
Shall we stop?
Yeah, we can stop the classes for today. We can again continue it tomorrow by 11 o'clock.
Okay. Okay. See you all tomorrow morning by around 11.